Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today we're sitting down with a leader who has consistently shown what it means to stand in a gap for his community. From his roots in Elmont to serving 6 terms in the Nassau County Legislature, he's built a reputation on fighting for public safety, infrastructure, and making sure everyday people have a real voice in government. His work goes beyond politics, from advocating for major community developments like the Elmont YMCA to upgrading park roads and essential services. He's been hands-on in shaping the future of the community in which he serves. But more importantly, he's stayed connected, hosting events, addressing real concerns, and making government accessible to the people. He's an outstanding father. Today we're joined by Legislator Carrié Solages. Welcome to Corey's Corner.
Thank you so much.
My brother,
I appreciate
been waiting
you.
to get you on here.
It's my honor. It's great to be here. Thank you so much. Every time I see you, I see my dad, because my dad served as a New York City police officer. So again, I have a lot of respect for you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Today's episode of Corey's Corner is brought to you by Vodka. Vodka is the world's first premium blend of vodka and tequila infused into one smooth, unforgettable spirit. Whether you're celebrating success or unwinding after a long week, choose the spirit that's redefining the game. Go to vodka.net for more information. Shout out to Corrupt Mob MC. It's more than a brotherhood. It's built on loyalty, respect, and community. More than a motorcycle club. Respect the mob. Let's get into it. Let's start at the beginning. Tell us about your family and your upbringing.
Thank you very much. My parents are immigrants from Haiti. Merci. And they came here in like the early 70s. In fact, lived not too far from here in Queens. In fact, I was born in Jamaica, Queens. Second child. And after I was born, my mother said, we have to move to Nassau County. And my dad listened. And we initially were going to move to Cambria Heights. Mom said, hey, can you spend a little bit more money and can we live in Nassau County? And I'm very thankful for the sacrifices that they made. Attended public school in Elmont, went on to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Then after that, I went to law school in Boston at Boston College Law School. I served as a prosecutor in the Bronx. And after that, I joined my brother in a small law firm where we helped everyday people dealing with everyday issues. And then in 2011, I ran for office, my second time running for office. But I learned from the first time in which I didn't win how to really run a campaign. And it was a very tough campaign, but with lots of help from unions, everyday people, of course, God, we were able to defeat a 16-year incumbent. And we were able to break the chain of Republican control in Nassau County on the western front of Nassau County, which is on the border of New York City.
Yes. So let me tell you, I can remember like yesterday, like you was this young, energetic person going around trying to be this legislator. You was shaking everybody's hands. You was kissing babies. You was walking old ladies across the street. I remember when you lost that first election and you came back. That's when I actually remember I was the president of the Long Island chapter of Noble. I started the Noble, and I believe you came there and spoke. I'm very proud of you, man. You know, here on Corey's Corner, I only bring friends here. I haven't brought no outsiders yet. I think the audience is probably saying, like, this guy knows everybody. He knows everybody in New York. But I'm very, very, very happy to see you here and what you have become, because I saw in the beginning and how the pendulum has swung today. Now, you talked about being raised in Elmont. How did growing up in that community shape who you are today?
Elmont is a great middle-class, Caribbean, Black, working-class community.
Middle class? The house is $1 million. That's middle class.
Well, only recently, I think, in the past 10, 20 years. But during the 80s and 90s, one had a realistic chance in acquiring the American dream, which is a home, a picket fence, picket fence, good schools. My father, as a New York City police officer, was able to get overtime when they were able to give it out. And he worked very hard. My mother stayed at home, focused on all 4 of us. And we just learned the meaning of hard work, sacrifice, sharing, and, just seeing my father coming back home, talking about how, his white superior would rate him poorly, but his black superior would give him an honest assessment. It opened my eyes to racism. It opened my eyes to the role of the black man in the professional setting. And I felt bad for my dad. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do very well in school because I don't like what he's facing. I don't like that people disrespect him because he has a Haitian accent. Like as an officer, he would say, I think there's a problem. And he would oftentimes get disrespected by his colleagues, not so much citizens, but his colleagues. And that concerned me. And I said, you know what? The best revenge is success. And so I'm going to be as successful as possible. I'm going to get A's. I'm not going to be satisfied if I get B's. And I'm going to go to the best school that I can. And I'm going to make a difference.
Man, I love it. I wish my kids had that vigor that you have. Damn, hold on. What talking? Y'all better be watching. You see this? He wants to do better than the next generation, the previous generation, and that's good. Good son. In 2012, your sister, Michaelle Solages, made history as the first person of Haitian descent elected to the New York State Assembly, right? And just a year earlier, in 2011, you won your race for legislator. What was that moment like for your family? Because we just talked about Papa Solages and what he was going through in the NYPD. Having both of y'all step into public office and make history together. And I remember that too. I'm like, wow, look at Solages. Let's go.
If you really want to understand Nassau County politics, you have to understand that it takes a team. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. And I alone could not do it. And so after I won my election, the following year was a redistricting year where they changed the maps. And there was a new seat that opened, an assembly seat. And my sister stepped up to the challenge and she ran and won a successful campaign. And I was very thankful for that. Not just because people could just call us the Caribbean Kennedys, but more so because you really need a team to change the world, a family. You can't do it alone. And she could focus on the state and I could focus on county issues. Right. And together we couldn't make excuses in not getting the job done. We had to get it done.
I mean, it was a time where you couldn't ride through Elmont without seeing a Solages sign. And it's still like that now because y'all are both in office. You can't ride through Elmont without seeing a Solages sign. And I just love it. I mean, I know both of y'all personally, and I know where your hearts are and the good work that you're doing. And I know it's very hard. And Nassau County is probably one of the strongest Republican sectors in New York. They have a stronghold on politics. And for y'all to infiltrate, I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Ronald Reagan once said that if a Republican were to die, it would look a lot like Nassau County. And I say that to say in that people think that New York State is all Democrat, it's all blue. Well, there's one area that's not blue, and that's Nassau County.
That's right.
And as a result, when it comes to state issues, whether it be public safety issues or environmental issues or housing issues, affordability issues, it's a different conversation in Nassau County. And I'm glad that we have an opportunity to talk about that. With the recent election of Zohar Mamdani, that was used against Democrats in Nassau County to say that we were not in support of, for example, public, police officers and public safety. As a result, that blue wave that we saw happen in Virginia, Florida, didn't happen in Nassau County in the last election.
Right.
So Republicans are still in charge. I am in the political minority. There are only about 7 to 8 Democrats in the legislature out of 19. So the Republicans still have the majority. On the state level, that's a different story. On the state level, Democrats have the majority with the governor and both houses, the Senate and also the Assembly, in which my sister is an Assembly person.
Yes. And for the audience, I live in Nassau County, so I know this well. As a matter of fact, and this wasn't on here, our county legislator is running for New York State governor. He's a Republican running against Kathy Hochul.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
The county executive of Nassau County is running against Governor Kathy Hochul, and I have already endorsed Governor Kathy Hochul. Governor Kathy Hochul, in fact, has supported Elmont greatly, my district, my legislative district. She, in fact, with my sister, the Assemblywoman, partnered together in securing $30 million for an Elmont YMCA. That is one of many things that the governor is doing to give more attention to Nassau County, and that's very important. And I want to thank Governor Hochul for helping us. Yes, the county executive of Nassau County, Bruce Blakeman, is running for governor. But, he has a lot of issues internally within Nassau County that I think that he should focus on instead of running for governor.
Yeah, I don't think he got a chance in hell, especially with his alignment with 45 and 47. I don't think that's gonna fly over in New York.
That's correct.
So
Bruce Blakeman is working very hard to become Trump 2.0.
yes,
And not only, did he serve as Bruce Blakeman's umbrella boy when Trump came to Nassau County recently, he is enacting all of Trump's policies on a local level and also his leadership style. So, for example, on the federal level, there is no checks and balances. Trump is running everything. He's taking control of the Supreme Court. He's taking control of Congress. Congress does not even meet unless they have permission from Trump.
Yeah,
That's not
crazy.
real checks and balances. That's not how democracy works. As a result, citizens are being shortchanged. In Nassau County, you see the same thing. Bruce Blakeman has taken over the legislature. They really don't come up with their own bills. It's what Bruce Blakeman says. He's the boss. And that's not the case. There are no kings in a democracy. There are no local kings. I really want to see a return back to our three branches of government where each of them equally are doing everything they can to improve the quality of life and make laws better for everyday people.
Right. Kudos. Being a proud father of two, how has fatherhood influenced your leadership and decision making? Now, before you answer that, before you ran, you didn't have any kids. Now I know your oldest is 12 now.
That's right. Just the close in age to your oldest son.
Yeah.
Maybe one day they can play together.
Yeah.
Throw football. He plays football. I know your son plays basketball.
That's my youngest son.
That's
Actually.
great. That's great. Look at you.
Uh-huh.
But yes, having two children makes it real. Because I'm not just doing this to do a good job. I'm doing this to make the world a better place for my kids to live in. And so there might be an issue that is not within the jurisdiction of power for me as a county legislator to resolve, but I want to speak up and say something about it because I know that one day my son or my daughter, they're going to ask me, "Hey, Dad, what did you do about that when that happened?"
Right.
When Trump was saying that all Haitians eat cats and dogs,
Right.
what did you do about that? Did you say nothing?
Right.
Or did you speak up like a man and do something about it?
Right.
And I'm going to be able to look them in the eye and tell them, not only did I speak up, but I organized my community.
Right. Yes. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, you studied at Georgetown University School of Foreign Service and later earned your law degree from Boston College Law School. We was talking about that before taping, how much fun you had in college. But you had a lot of fun, but you graduated, which is the big thing. How did those experiences shape your worldview?
I attended Georgetown because President Bill Clinton attended Georgetown. And
Okay.
I always liked government politics. And so I said, wow, he's a great politician. Not so much looking back now, I question some of his policies, like the crime bill.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be like Bill Clinton. And so I
Okay.
wanted to go to the same school that he attended. And I had a great time there and learned a lot. Created the first Black newspaper on campus, helped to create an African American Studies department, and had a great time there at Georgetown University. Boston College Law School was also very important. And I learned during law school a very famous quote by a man who taught Thurgood Marshall. And he said that the lawyer has two choices: to become either a parasite or a social engineer. And I chose the latter. I want to use my law degree not to chase ambulances, but to really help society. In life, I realized that as a man or as a person, I have two purposes: a mission and a means. A means, I'm an attorney. That's how I provide for my family,
Right.
how I bring bread home as an attorney. As a public official, that is my mission. I want to do something greater. And so I learned a lot of important principles and lessons during college and law school. And also I grew up in the 90s where we saw such great attorneys like Johnny Cochran. And, we saw issues like police brutality, saw issues like redlining. And I realized that as an attorney, I want to do something about that. Living in very tough times now. One of the first things that President Trump did was that he eliminated a lot of important legal organizations, or he went after lawyers. We need lawyers. We need lawyers to address societal, political, economic issues. I say oftentimes, politics without economics is like a symbol without substance. That you have to have policies that address economic issues. And I could talk to you about some of the issues I've been concerned about and things that we must do as a community and things that we must be aware about. We're living in very tough times. Recently, the Supreme Court outlawed a very important principle or part of the Voting Rights Act. And
Hold that. I was going to ask you that. Before politics, you was an ADA, Assistant District Attorney in the Bronx. Woo! The Bronx. DA Bronx. Okay. What lessons from that role still guide you? I mean, you had to have a tremendous amount of a caseload.
Yes, I had a tremendous caseload, but I also learned more. I took that opportunity to learn a lot about the law. As a prosecutor, you um, are a representative of the state. And so if you look at any legal case, a criminal case, it's the people of the state of New York versus that person.
Right.
And so you, as a prosecutor, you have the unlimited resources of the state to pursue certain cases. And that's where, as a prosecutor, as a police officer, I learned the important lesson of discretion. You don't have to go after every crime.
Right.
I mean, the African man outside selling fake Gucci bags is doing that because the economy is not working out for him. So he has to create his own economy.
Right.
Should you pursue jail for that offense? No. Perhaps a more creative solution is better. And so I learned more about discretion in that role, and that was very important. But I also learned about the very difficult role that police officers have. DWI. As a prosecutor, we learned that when you're driving and if you're under the influence, your brain is programmed to go towards any flashing light. And so officers who are pulling people over on the side of the road have a very difficult job, because if people are driving by under the influence, alcohol causes you to go into to drive towards their vehicle. It's a very dangerous role.
Right.
And the officer's wearing multiple hats: a social worker, a policymaker, neighborhood friend. And so, you have to balance the interests of public safety, civil rights of the individual, and also looking at how all these cases have to be conducted and administered in an efficient manner.
Yes.
So that everyone has their time in court.
Now, you also served on the Human Rights Commission in Nassau County. How did that experience deepen your understanding of justice and equity?
I was appointed to the Human Rights Commission by Thomas Swazi, who was the county executive of Nassau County at the time. Now he's a congressperson. And as a human rights commissioner, my job was to review claims of discrimination by constituents and residents of Nassau County and help them seek justice.
So you're now in your 6th term in Nassau County Legislator. What keeps you motivated to continue?
I continue to keep my foot on the pedal and provide the same energetic leadership to my constituents as I've had from day one. I want to make sure that people have the best perception and image and taste of government, especially when people are looking at TV and see government not doing what it's supposed to be doing on TV. I want them to know that on the local level, we are taking care of our responsibilities. As a county legislator, my responsibility is to make sure that local government is accessible. As a legislator, I am responsible for passing the budget that includes our Nassau County Police Department, our Department of Probation, our Department of Social Services, which is very important now, especially as a lot of federal money has been cut from New York State. I'm responsible for county roads, the county sewer system. But at the end of the day, being in office for such a long time, when someone comes to me and if they come to me with an issue that's not directly within the responsibility of a county legislator, it might be a state issue or village issue or a town of Hempstead issue, for example, housing.
Right.
They may not understand that that may not be my role. And so I have to help them, direct them, and help them get the answer that they deserve. And so, I'm very thankful that constituents have been patient and understand that, I'm working under a larger system in which I'm dependent on the efforts of other individuals and other layers of government. But together, as long as you communicate to your constituents the issues at hand and what is possible and what you could do and what you can't do, people are very understanding and people appreciate that.
Yes. I sometimes I just close my eyes. I see stuff. I see bigger things coming from you. The county legislature. I think you're going to be like the county executive one day. Maybe New York State Attorney General. Sorry, my sister Tish. I'm not trying to tell you to leave, but you got some big things coming.
I love Letitia James. She's a wonderful
That's my
attorney
sister.
general.
Yes.
And she has helped everyday constituents on housing issues and other important issues. And I'm thankful for the wish. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Man plans and God laughs. If that's what God wants, and that's great. I do think at times that the higher up you go, the more ineffective you may become. I've seen individuals who are wedded to corporate interests and other interests and not interested in the interests of their community. I like being local to the ground, seeing what's going on, and getting people the help they deserve.
Legislator Solages. Let's talk about this new Supreme Court decision that just came down about the 1964 Voting Act.
The recent Supreme Court decision that invalidates parts of the Voting Rights Act is very concerning. It relates to a case coming out of Alabama. And what this does is that this allows a legislature to change the composition of whether a constituency can have Republican or Democratic representative. So it may not matter so much for a truly red state or a truly blue state, but for a state that's purple, a combination of red and blue, or for an area like Nassau County that's a combination of red and blue, that's very concerning because now they could just change the rules and now remove an individual that has been elected by his peers, and another individual who may not be truly representative of the community can take over. And that's concerning. I want us to understand that there was a period in United States history called Reconstruction. During 1860s all the way up into the 1890s, where we see the highest amount of Black representatives, or we see a Black Wall Street in Oklahoma or in Maryland or elsewhere. It was a time in which Blacks or African Americans in the United States had a great level of prosperity despite the economic and political realities at the time. I'm not saying that things were the best then. However, you did have economic empowerment and true political engagement by and with African Americans. We have seen also 1950, the Civil Rights Movement, and leading up to the recent time, it may be argued as that being the second Reconstruction period. Things are no longer the same. The Supreme Court has invalidated DEI policies, has invalidated affirmative action, has eliminated opportunity that we have worked hard through blood, sweat, and tears from the Civil Rights Movement going all the way up into the 1980s and 1990s. And unfortunately, those same legal protections now are gone. This is very concerning. And I'm asking everyone to wake up. Just like in that movie, School Days, where you saw that brother said, wake up. It's time to wake up. Yes, the Democratic Party, I'm not, again, aligning myself to defend the Democratic Party and from its actions in the past election, but fewer Democrats came out to vote. Whether that's a fault of the party or ourselves or our community, we have to take responsibility. We cannot allow that to happen again, especially as the midterms are approaching. We still have a chance to undo all of the harm that has been done legally and politically speaking and economically speaking by the current administration. And I'm just talking to you about the law. One could talk about employment records and how Black women now have suffered the most under this administration by losing the highest number of jobs for any one particular segment in our society. When our own sisters are under attack, when our own homes don't have the stable footing by having an employed woman or man or family member or partnership, we should be very concerned.
Powerful, deep. Only on Corey's Corner. We keep it right, not real. All right, we're at the Spitfire round. We play this game called Spitfire here, where I'm going to ask you 10 rapid-fire questions, real quick, yes or no, one-word answers. Try not to expand too much. It's a fun game. Let's see if you do better than Leroy Comrie or Jumani Williams.
Those are both personal friends.
Patrice, your friends, Nantasha, they always here. They did good. Let's go. You ready? Early mornings or late nights?
Both.
Courtroom or council chamber?
Courtroom.
Biggest motivator, family or legacy?
Family. It's all about family.
One word that defines your leadership style?
Practical.
Toughest part of public service?
Public speaking.
You're a great orator. Stop.
Like Prince, I have to work myself up before I make a speech or sing. So I like Purple Rain. I'm an 80s baby. And before I make a speech, I really gotta, sit in the back room and become an introvert and change into an extrovert.
Okay. Most rewarding part of public service?
Knowing that people know that someone has their back.
Politics or policy, which matters more?
Politics allows you to make policy. They both matter. They're both different sides of the same coin.
One issue you'll never compromise on?
I would never compromise on making society more affordable for families.
Elmont in one word?
Beautiful.
If you weren't in politics, what would you be doing?
Show business. I'll be an actor.
Oh, nice. I like it. Thank you for participating in the Spitfire round.
Appreciate
It's
it.
great.
That was great. That was awesome. I like that. I like that.
Right?
I wish I could expand on that last question. As an attorney, as a former prosecutor, as an elected official, I have met so many amazing people. I've had so many amazing stories and experiences, and I've been writing it down, and I definitely want to go to Hollywood and show the world what I've experienced.
Let's go. I know a few people. I have a few friends in high places.
I heard you do.
Just a few.
I've been watching you, Corey.
Yeah.
I've been watching you.
Okay. Corey's Corner is powered by Story to Tell Productions. If you're serious about starting a podcast or taking your production to the next level, this is the team you need. Reach out to Story to Tell Productions and get it done the right way. Before we move forward, let me take you somewhere. Everything we talk about on the show, power, accountability, respect, redemption, it's not just a conversation for me. I've lived it, I've earned it, I've survived it. I've seen both sides of the system. I've walked the street, I've worn the badge. I've carried the weight of decisions that change people's lives. That's why I wrote Once a Cop, The Street, the Law, Two Worlds, One Man. It's not just a book. It's the raw, unfiltered truth about the journey from the corners of Queens, New York, to the high-rise building of One Police Plaza, which is NYPD headquarters. And then there's the documentary, A Cops and Robbers Story, which pulls the curtain back even further. No headlines, no sound bites. Just a human story behind the uniform. Because behind every badge, there's a man. Behind every man, there's a story. And behind every story, there's a choice.
It's Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson. Check out Corey's Corner on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
May I say something?
Yeah.
I would like to applaud you and commend you for sharing your experience.
Yeah.
What you just said reminds me of what I saw when I watched the Michael Jackson movie recently.
Oh,
In that movie, someone says to Michael Jackson, show your light, don't hide your light.
Mhm.
Being a black man in this country, I think it's very easy to hide your light. It's very easy to ignore what Jesse Jackson said and said, hey, your voice matters, you matter.
Mm-hmm.
Our experiences matter. And so by you shedding or showing your light, you're helping someone that you may know or not even know.
Yeah.
And so it's very important. Stephen Biko, a famous South African freedom fighter, once said that the most powerful tool of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed.
Mm.
And so that causes one to not be able to deal with their trauma living in this country as an African-American black male or female. And it may not cause you to connect with your brother and sister as you should. But once you overcome that and know that you must share your light, then you know that you have an obligation to talk about your experience, not in a pompous way, but in a humble way, so that you could help out your fellow brother and sister. And so I really applaud you for sharing your light, and I'm asking other individuals to do that as well.
Appreciate that, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodkila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodkila. Visit vodkila.net and order yours today.
One of your biggest wins was helping stop the proposed soccer stadium and instead supporting the development of the Elmont YMCA. What did that moment teach you about the power of community voice?
I'm very, very thankful to my constituents who have stood with me when I would hold rallies on a street corner in front of the Belmont facility in Elmont. Elmont, as you know, has the Belmont racetrack, world famous racetrack, where you have the Belmont Stakes, and you have a very large state property that Governor Cuomo at one point, and I knew the man he was, and this made it even more dangerous, he wanted to put a mega soccer stadium that was going to be built not by unions, and there was going to be no community benefits agreement. And being from Elmont, wanting the best for Elmont, wanting economic development, I couldn't allow that to happen. And so I went up to the governor's office in Manhattan on the east side, and just like David, I didn't have a slingshot, but I had some deflated soccer balls. And I called every news agency out there and I said, hey, I want you to listen to this speech.
Right.
And I said, look, this project for a soccer stadium, this mega stadium, is not going to work and it's going to fail. And we don't stand for that.
Right.
And my community supported me and we carried that message and we defeated that proposal.
Yeah.
And, some soccer fans are really upset with me. And
They'll be all right. They built one over there in Queens. They
yeah.
could just get on the ride.
And then they wanted to build a casino and we didn't want that as well. And then we said yes to the New York Islanders and the UBS Arena, and the partnership has been great. And I have to give UBS Arena, the UBS partners, some credit, because most times, just like with the Barclays project in Brooklyn, the community benefits agreement wasn't honored.
Right.
But it took my sister and I, and again, I initially started this, but my sister took it over.
Right.
And as an assembly person working closely with Carl Hasty, once again, the Bronx, thank you very much to Carl Hasty. He had a connection with the YMCA. But it wasn't enough monies. And so we started to work together to raise more money. And the governor Hochul as well kicked in $30 million for upcoming YMCA in Elmont. And it's going to be great. I want Elmont to be the new Timbuktu. In Africa, in the old days, Timbuktu was a center of learning and knowledge. They had some of the biggest libraries. But of course, our history books don't talk about that. I want Elmont to be the new Timbuktu. This community center will be revolutionary. We don't know what the possibilities we may have, right? We might have the next Michael Jackson come out of there. We might have the next basketball superstar come out of there. But it's going to be a great center, and we're asking for the community to get involved as well.
That's good. I can't wait to the ribbon cut. Make sure you invite me down.
Absolutely.
Corey's Corner. All right. You host giveaways from backpacks to turkeys. I've seen you out there. You're doing all that and provide direct services. Why is that hands-on approach so important to you?
We could not ignore the economic reality of the times in which we're living in. Let me talk about Nassau County, where I represent. If you have a household that's not making more than $110,000 with two parents or even one parent, that family, that household is living below the federal poverty line. Their cost of living is more than the actual income that they make. So you might see certain things in the schools where you have the child ask other students for lunch money, but their parent has a Mercedes-Benz or BMW in the driveway. And so what we call this is a term that I call suburban poverty. And in fact, the New York Times wrote an article about it. The cost of living, the high cost of taxes, the fact that the town of Hempstead, which controls housing in Elmont, does not allow certain households to have an extra income by having a legalized basement. As a result, people are illegally renting out their basements, creating a possible fire hazard. You see the streets are crowded with more cars, more resources are being drained with our education and our public school system and our sanitation. And so, we're asking the Republicans that run Nassau County to allow people to legalize certain portions of their home and allow, of course, it to be taxed by the local government. We need to update and modernize our local government. Nassau County can no longer live as a bedroom community to New York City. We need our own centers of economic development, just like the one that my sister and I helped to create on the western part of Nassau County. But we want to see that elsewhere. We want to see development at the Coliseum, which unfortunately still has had no development. And perhaps we could see housing there, or condominiums, or a new industry, perhaps an attraction, or a theme park. But we need to modernize Nassau County.
What do you see as the biggest issue facing Nassau County right now, and what needs to be done about it?
High property taxes.
That is the number one issue.
As an attorney, I show people for free how to successfully challenge their tax grievance. I want you guys to understand this scam going on in Nassau County. Nassau County will tax you on your home and tell you what your home is valued at. And if you don't question them, then you have to pay that tax. You can question it and have your tax reduced through an application called a tax grievance. But by nature, people don't do that. A lot of people are Christian. They give unto Caesar what's due to Caesar, and they don't question Caesar. They don't want their head cut off by Caesar. But please, do this application. I am the first legislator to actually put the entire process on the internet, on YouTube, so that you could do it yourself without an attorney.
I use Zap My Tax.
You could do that, but the company is now getting a portion of what you saved. So you're really now paying a tax for something wrong that you didn't do.
Man, this whole tax in Nassau County is a mother. We wind it down. Let's get it together.
Absolutely.
You played an integral part in getting the Nassau County Police Department to wear body cameras. Big deal.
Thank you. There was a young man, young African-American Caribbean young man, who was assaulted by a police officer in Westbury. And myself, Legislator Kavan Abrahams at the time, Legislator C. Labino at the time, who's now a state senator, went to that same corner where that young man was assaulted and said that we want justice. And it took us 8 years to make sure that the police unions agreed with us. They fought us tooth and nail on it. But after 8 years, they agreed that body cameras not only protected the public, but also protected police officers.
For someone watching this who wants to follow into your footsteps and get into public service, what steps should they take to start that journey?
I was inspired by President Barack Hussein Obama. All you need is a clipboard. After his election, his monumental historic election in 2008, I got a clipboard and I said, okay, let me organize everybody in my household, everybody in my community, write their name and phone number, and see what value or resource they can provide to others. Organize your community. It's easier than you think. Go out there. We have a cell phone. Think about this. The civil rights movement, they didn't have Facebook, a cell phone, not even beepers, Instagram, but they were able to organize and make monumental change in society. So I think that if you learn how to organize just with a pen and paper, the sky's the limit. The pen is truly mightier than the sword.
Yes, you remind me of a friend of mine, big brother, uncle, almost father, Dr. Ben Chavis. I have to hook y'all up together next time he comes to New York. You remind me of a young Ben Chavis.
Thank you.
When it's all said and how do you want people in Elmont, Valley Stream, and beyond to remember your leadership?
I wanted to know that we all have a space to grow in Nassau County. We deserve to have it all. We live in the land of milk and honey, and all you have to do is ask. I remember the book of Matthew: ask, believe, and receive. I think also I want to perhaps go into teaching, where I teach people the importance of manifesting. You know, these projects that I was able to do, I was also able to get over $1 million from the Republicans to rebuild a fire station in my community. No other Democrat was able to do that. And I think that I was able to do that because I really believe in manifesting. You have to be able to see something and to be able to bring it into reality. It is selfish, I believe, to have an idea and to keep it to yourself. You have to be able to release it out into the world. We are creative people. Black people, we are God's people. We are the only people with hair that defies gravity. No other person, you know what I'm saying? There ain't no other people in this world like that. We are God's people, and we have to learn to use our resources and abilities to help out our fellow brothers and sisters. I'm considered the manifester, and my sister's the deliverer. So she at times hates me because she's like, "Hey, why did you promise that person something?" But we work together and we get it done.
Okay, I'd be remiss to not say that your parents did a very good job with their kids. Your brother's a sitting judge. You're a legislator. Michaelle's an assemblywoman, and your other sibling.
She is involved with international relations.
I mean, great job. Kudos to your parents if they're still living.
Yes.
Please give them my love. Corey's Corner. They did a very good job with raising the Solages. Now, before we wrap, is there anything else that you want to add?
There's a lot of things I could talk about right now, but I just want to emphasize the importance of voting in this year's midterm election. Based upon information and belief, looking at Project 2025, ICE officers will be brought to election polls just to discourage people. In Nassau County, at any given election, you could find a bunch of Republicans in the election site trying to discourage people from voting. I have had constituents tell me that people at the voting site are asking people for their electricity bill to prove that they live at a location. Under the law, you do not have to show any proof. You do not even have to show a driver's license in order to vote. And if they try to turn you away, you are entitled legally to an affidavit ballot. So it's very important that we vote in this upcoming election, the midterm election. Let us not fall for the tricks that they used last time, in which they said, oh, you know, Democrats are not doing much for the Black community. Your vote doesn't matter, especially as a Black male, you shouldn't vote. We were fooled. And many people in our community did not vote. I'm asking you to please vote. It matters.
Yes, thank you for that. Where can the people find you? Because I know my phone is going to be going crazy. Your social media.
If you have a hard time remembering my name, remember my initials, CS for common sense. Carrié Solages. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I have a law office on Dutch Broadway in Elmont. I have also a government office in Mineola. My government number is 516-571-6203, or you can email me at cs@nassaucountiny.gov. But I'm very visible on social media, and I would welcome any direct messages.
Yes. Legislator Solages, I appreciate you not for just this conversation, but for the work you continue to put into your community every single day. What stands out is that your leadership isn't just about policy, it's about the people. It's about listening, showing up, and making sure voices that are often overlooked are actually heard. This is what Corey's Corner is all about. The right stories, the right impact, and the right leadership. And under that, I could put Legislator Carrié Solages. Thank you again for pulling up and grabbing the seat on Corey's Corner. We got more powerful conversations on the way. Thank you, my
very
brother.
much. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, make sure you follow, subscribe, and support. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until next time, keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember, it's not about where you start, it's always about where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Special thanks to our executive producer, our engineers, and much respect to Corrupt Mob for making Corey's Corner possible.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop, I used to hunt the block.